Oh, yeah. Freak out. Yeah, I'm looking right into the video scope, And this is Macho Man, #1 Macho Man impersonator, past, present, future, yeah. And I'm here to tell you, you are watching 49er Minded with Bashar. Yeah, the cream of the crop. Dig it?
49er Mind is it's not just a thought process, but a way of life. 49er Mind. 49er Mind. Can't shake it. It's 49er Mind that I got. It's 49er Shine that I got. My psyche's on another Frisco Super Bowl. Don't sit slow, cause here we go with a super show. A red and gold session about our red and gold obsession. With some well-controlled expressions, let's talk about that win that we got. Who should have been in the slot? That's how it's been in the squad. All that back, all that crack, all that straight fumble sack. Or just dial it on up if you wanna talk smack. It don't matter what the story line, as long as the story aligns with a 49er Mind. 49er Minded. It's not just a thought process, 49er Minded, but a way of life. For sure. 49er Minded. Way of life. 49er Minded.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to an edition of the 49er Minded channel. This is our weekly edition that we're going to be calling Ballin with Ted and Bash, because I got my co-host here, Ted from Ted Talks Ball. How you doing, bro?
Good, Bash. Can't complain. How are you doing today? Thanks for having me.
Doing great, man. Doing great. It's a Friday. There's plenty of stuff to talk about. OTAs have started, and we're ready to go to talk about some good Niner football. Before we started getting into everything that we're going to be talking about, let me just show some love to some people in the chatters, and let's take care of that right now. So we got Brian Cope. He said this is going to be a great show. Hey, the shows are always better with people like you participating in the chat, so just remember that. And
thanks, Brian.
49ers throwback in here. Brian Cope again, hit the like on both channels. This is also airing on Ted's channel, Ted Talks Ball. So definitely check it out on there. Got Laura says, yay, looking forward to what y'all have to share. Have a great show. Thank you very much. Jimmy Perez is here. Says, what up, Ted? Happy Friday. Probably one of your good friends, right?
Thanks, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
187 says, bang, bang, Niner gang. Now I know what that BBNG is all about. As much as
I had to ask him. He had to explain it to me. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, he put it up in one of the chats one time. And
yeah.
I wasn't sure what it was, and I was like BBNG. I was confused, and usually I'm up to date on those because FTTB, faithful to the Bay, but it's always good.
It sounded like some kind of weird porno to me, but luckily it had to do with the Niners.
Oh my god! So you'd have to find out on Urban Dictionary.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. So how's your day going? Or anything exciting for you happening this week, or that you want to talk about, or some off-topic stuff? Or there was a game yesterday, the basketball game, but.
Not surprised the Nuggets won. I put out on the timeline Nuggets in 5 a while back. So I wasn't surprised to see them win last night. I mean, it was definitely wire to wire. The Heat never really got close. That's a little bit surprising to me, but maybe not game 1. Maybe the Heat will give it a little better go game 2. Maybe they'll get a little more acclimatized to the altitude. Playing at 5,280 feet is no joke. So hopefully Jimmy Buckets and crew can make it a series. I mean, I would love it if Jimmy Buckets could win. I mean, I picked the Nuggets, but I would love for Jimmy Buckets to get a ring. I just don't think this is the year for it. I think the Nuggets are a pretty formidable adversary for anyone.
I totally admire what the Miami Heat are doing. I'm with Eric Spoelstra. Just constantly making that team relevant in play when it comes to playoff time, regardless of who's on his team. Yeah, he had a super team and he won with that super team before, but I mean, he's always in the mix of it. With whatever team he has, he's always in the mix. And like you mentioned, Jimmy Butler, I admire what he did throughout all this playoff series, but it's unfortunate because to me, to what I think and what a lot of other people think, and look pretty evident last night, it's in my opinion, it's just the Kings' year. I mean, it's just not the Kings, the Nuggets.
Yeah. Poor Kings. We dispatched them.
I don't live too far from where the Kings play, but yeah, I've been doing these slips a lot lately. What's wrong with me? I don't know.
It's all right. You're just getting old. It happens.
I know, right?
and while we're talking about the Kings, it brings up that we knocked the Kings out. And, I was saying on the timeline that, I thought the Warriors would have done better than the Lakers against the Nuggets. But I don't think we would have beat the Nuggets. I just don't think we would have got swept the way
We would have gotten swept.
the way LeBron did. But nonetheless, I think the Nuggets were the best team in the West. And I was telling people that before the playoffs started. I was like, I just remember watching Joker last year when we played them and we beat them, but they didn't have Murray. They didn't have Michael Porter Jr. And they didn't have some of their other pieces. I don't think they had Brown either last season. He either wasn't on the team or was injured, Bruce Brown. I'm not surprised to see that they're doing better. I was saying a lot of people were like, hey, I need to see it before I believe it. And I'm one of those type people where I can kind of tell sometimes things are going to happen before they happen. And I think that's kind of interesting thing. A lot of people are talking about AI and the power of, artificial intelligence. And I've been playing around with it a little bit with Bard and Chat GPT and things like that to try and help optimize show titles and descriptions for shows and things like that. And it's been helping for sure. And those are powerful tools, no doubt about it. But I went in there and I put into Chat GPT and Bard and I was like, will the Seahawks overtake, I used the title for the show and I asked the question to the AI engines, like to try and see if they could predict what would happen in this football season. And they're both just like, talk to somebody who's an expert. I'm like, yes,
exactly.
We can do.
Rely on computers for football, in my opinion.
Yeah,
you need that human element.
Exactly.
Hey,
but
what's up? Let me say what's up to D Sizzle. Since D Sizzle, you know what it is. Check out his little funny videos that he has on his social media, on Instagram and on his Facebook and all that, and on his YouTube channel as well. It says B Money, that he's called me B Money. Sounds like a rapper from Digital Underground, Money B. But says, what up? Almost time to get the belt out. Oh, who are you trying to whip with that belt, D Sizzle? I don't get it. Laura said Sleepy Floyd. Oh, I told her. I ran it by her the other day who Sleepy Floyd was, so she didn't know who he was.
All-time Warriors.
I forgot why I mentioned that.
Back in the 80s and 70s, along with Joe Barry Carroll, right? J.B. Carroll was in that same era.
Sleepy Floyd was on the Warriors. It was right before I became a Warriors fan. And then by the time I became a Warriors fan, Manu Bol was still on the team. Then the year after, Tim Hardaway came around. So by that time, Sleepy Floyd was already on the Rockets. But I knew who he was, but he wasn't a Warrior by the time I started watching. But Sleepy Floyd was a beast on the Warriors, man. There was one game that against the Lakers in the playoffs, I believe the second round of the playoffs, where I believe Sleepy Floyd put up, it was on Easter Sunday, I remember they were talking about it. Seen the highlights multiple times. And Sleepy Floyd, I believe, put up like 50 points against the Magic Johnson Lakers. So, the Lakers, the Warriors weren't a bad playoff team in that little span in the 80s, that little short span under George Karl, They just nobody ever respected them to be a team that would ever make it to the finals or win anything. And as a Warrior fan, I was disrespected for such a long time. And they finally win. They're like, oh, you guys cheated. You can't win with these guys.
I tell you, the haters. Yeah, there's always going to be somebody, trying to drag you down when you're on top. I ran into one today. I think you saw some of the argument. There was the guy who posted up the video. He's like a Giants fan, and he posted up the video and saying that Trey Lance's delivery was much slower than Sam Darnold's. As far as release time, saying that his release was much slower than Sam Darnold's. And we got into a big lengthy argument going back and forth. And I was like, basically, he was like trying to say something about NFC Championship game last year. Like, oh, your guys' strategy didn't work very well in the NFC Championship game. And I'm like, dude, you're a Giants fan. Like, last time you guys were in an NFC Championship game, you had Eli Manning on your team. So, like,
coming back with Daniel Jones, you can definitely make that clear.
No. And also, I'm like, what am I supposed to apologize for making 3 NFC Championship games in the last 4 seasons? Like, that's what you're supposed to do. And then he went so far as to, so then he said something about, he said that the Giants, beat us twice in the NFC Championship game, and I said, yeah, but that's ancient history. The Giants, none of that has anything to do with the current regimes. The last one was in 2011. Let's be honest, that was more like Kyle Williams blowing it than the Giants beating us.
He blew it.
He handed it to them.
What about Ahmed Bradshaw? I was at that game. What about Ahmed Bradshaw freaking fumbling in the fourth quarter, and we recover the fumble, and that puts us in field goal range. At the worst, at least we get a field goal. And the referee said, "Oh, he was down by forward progress." And you go back and watch it over and over again. It was clear. I had Cowboy fans telling me once I got home, a Cowboy fan called me. He's like, "You guys got robbed. You guys got robbed." Like, that was a fumble on Ahmed Bradshaw. But what can you do? Let me see what's up to JG638. He said he's a backup. Jimmy G's biggest hater in the world of Twitter, if you know who he is. And he has a hidden talent. He can sing like Bruno Mars. So, a really good friend of mine over in Sacramento. What's up, bro? How you doing? Donald Johnson's here. What's up, Donald Johnson? He says, who that talking Sean? Oh my gosh. He said, who's that talking Sean Payton? I can't even say this with a straight face. Sean Payton's double. You know what, though?
That's a compliment.
He's not a bad looking dude. So I wouldn't get offended. Great coach in the world of football. So I take that as a compliment. But freaking, I mean, what they had Kevin James play him on that stupid Netflix movie. I didn't even watch the movie. But I mean, like, you could play Sean Payton more so than freaking Kevin James could. Kevin James looks nothing like Sean Payton.
That's true. No, Sean Payton's, I mean, he's not a real big guy. I guess he's gained some weight over the years, but I mean,
Kevin James
I'm like 6 foot 3 bills though. So, I mean, I definitely am a little bit heavier than Sean Payton.
I'm built like an NFL nose tackle.
There you go. You stole my line.
I know. It's a great line. I had to steal it. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. All my stuff is free to be stolen. It's all good.
Anything can happen on Ballin with Ted and Bash, though. So that's what we do. It's going to be every Friday. Leave at 3:00. And if there's something that happens and we may have to switch and do it on a different day, we'll let you guys know. And what up, Niner? You love to hate 510. It says Trey Lance over Darnold. We're definitely going to get into that. And there's OTAs talking. There's OTAs that happen. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about it right now. I mean, we got Trey Lance. For the most part, Trey Lance was taking first team reps, and the majority of these OTA days are not open to the media. And what do you know? When that report comes out, the same day they freaking have Sam Darnold taking first team reps, for the media to watch, and they kind of threw a curveball at the media with that one.
Yeah, I think Kyle, he likes to play around a little bit. We saw it during the draft where when we took Moody, he's like, aren't you glad we didn't draft the running back in the third round like we always do? So Kyle, for somebody who supposedly doesn't have a Twitter account, he sure seems to know a lot about what's being said on there. So, yeah, I'll just laugh at that a little bit. But, ultimately, we do want to get Darnold some first team reps because if something bad happens and he has to play, that'll only benefit us to have him have that experience. I mean, as bad as Josh Johnson was in the NFC Championship game, I don't think he would have been as bad if he had got some first team reps last summer in OTA's training camp and preseason. So
yeah, and keep in mind they brought in Josh Johnson at the end of towards the end of the season when Jimmy G got hurt. That's when they brought in Josh Johnson. But then again, he probably never got any first team reps at all ever in practice with the Niners.
Right, never. So I think it's smart.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think you want to have Lance getting all the first team reps. But I also don't think it's smart to split them 50-50 either. I think Lance should get most of them. We want him to get chemistry with our weapons and ready to go in case young Brock Purdy isn't ready week 1.
Very true. And just really quick for you guys watching Ballin with Ted and Bash for the first time. We have collab before, but we finally came up with the name. And if the font that I use looks familiar, again, it's not original. It's from the movie Deadpool. I've never seen it, but that may remind you. So if you think about it now look at it, you'll probably be like, okay, now I know where you got that from.
You've never seen Deadpool?
I never saw it. I'm behind the movies. There's a lot of movies I haven't seen. So
even the second one, even the sequel is pretty good. But the first one, you definitely got to see it. It's Ryan Reynolds plays Deadpool, and I I won't ruin it, but I'll just say that
I
there's
heard
just
a lot
some
of weird
like
stuff about it. I heard a lot of weird stuff about it.
it's weird. It's really weird, but it's kind of weird and twisted and kind of funny. It's not your usual superhero movie where everybody's like squeaky clean. It's more like, he's like, I don't want to give it away, but
I got
yeah,
you. I should
I
check it
highly
out.
recommend it. Yeah,
Okay.
you got to check it out if you like Marvel type stuff, DC
I
type
don't
stuff.
watch that stuff, but not that I don't like it. I just haven't gotten into that genre of movies.
It's very different though too. So I mean, even though it's like a similar idea, it's a very different take on it. So give it a try. Give it a try, and just remember, at least watch half an hour of it. And if you haven't found it, if you haven't laughed a few times,
I'll probably watch it. I'll probably watch it.
in the first half hour. If you give it an hour, I think you'll be like,
you didn't watch the Mario Brothers movie that I recommended.
Not yet. Well,
Okay,
I mean, I guess is it rated G? Can I show it to my son?
It is. Oh yeah, your kid can watch it. Your kid, it's definitely kid friendly. That's what it's for.
Maybe that's something we'll do this weekend or something. And they're still playing in those 4D.
It's not a 40X anymore. I don't think so. Yeah, they took it off the 40X. Yeah, because whenever they run a 40X movie, it's only in one theater. So you have a movie theater with 8 or 7 different theaters that you can walk into. There's only one designated spot for 40X in each movie theater. So they're running the Little Mermaid now. That's a big thing. So,
oh man!
What up, Kenny? It says we got the #1 defense. What up, Kenny? Good to see you. We're gonna be getting into this. And 90 Loves to Hate says both Deadpools are great movies. I recommend it. I gotta check those out. And Brian says I watched the Mario movie. Okay, cool. It's a funny movie. It's you think that you're not a kid, but there's some likable things about it. It's cool.
Right on. Can I finish up with that exchange with that Giants fan real quick? Because I thought it was pretty interesting because, I said that they hadn't been in the NFC Championship game since Eli Manning, and he said, oh, careful watching too much in the rearview mirror. You might have a fender bender. And I was like, oh, you're probably rooting for that, aren't you? And he's like, metaphorically. And I was like, well, I basically was like, he tried to say that I said that thing about 3 NFC Championship games in the last 4 seasons, and he tried to say, well, that doesn't have anything to do with this season. And I'm like, what? I was like, we have the same coach, the same GM, the same core of star players, and we have like 19 or 20 out of our 22 starters from last year. Plus we added, Javon Hargrave and CMC. I mean, if you're counting the 4 years, CMC's a big addition since some of those 4 years. And then that was it.
And we're developing younger players too. Let's Steve, what up, Steve? Steve said, is Trey Lance the only quarterback with an endorsement? I think he means the only 49er quarterback. And the only endorsement I can think of with Trey Lance is that sleep mattress, or what's that sleep?
Sleep number beds. Sleep number beds. Sleep is important.
I just whenever Trey did those ads, but it is what it is. But let's talk about Trey though, because what came out in camp. Well, before camp, obviously, let's backtrack a little bit. Hey, he's working out with the #1 quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes. And not only is he working out with Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes is quarterback coach who's developed him along the way. Jeff Christensen, who runs a QB school, is the guy, in charge of showing Lance and tweaking his mechanics and fixing some things, right? And I believed in like 4 or 5 days, they fixed some problem that he had and they refined it. And, and what the biggest news was, and who was it? Brian Greasy was talking about it today. I believe he was talking about Trey Lance's broken index finger. And he was just going on for days and days. He was defending Trey Lance, basically, is what he was doing. He was saying, you guys have no idea how hard it is to try to throw a football with no index finger. And if you don't believe me, I can show you. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like, man, I never thought Lance's mechanics were terrible. But it seems like it was a problem with the index finger more so than anything else. But one thing they did fix with Lance is he's finally engaging his lower body on his throws now. He wasn't doing that before. He's getting his hips, his legs involved, and that's where the power is coming from. And now he's not getting sore. So it's just good to hear, man.
No doubt about it. I saw Bryant said he says he's going to catch the Mario movie, but he says you have to see Deadpool. I have the movie. I'll let you borrow it. So he's even willing to let you borrow it. So
I guess I'd have to give you a pizza in exchange or something like that.
Oh, sorry, you did see it. Okay, sorry. Never mind.
No, I never saw it.
No, but I mean, you saw the comment.
I saw the comment. Right? I got you.
Okay, I didn't know you caught it. All right, cool. So yeah, I mean, I think Lance was keeping his front leg straight, and now he's bending it, so that's a big bonus. He's throwing a spiral. He's throwing with more touch. Ayuk said he's throwing a very catchable ball. That was one of the big concerns, was that he was throwing 90-mile-an-hour wobblers. So it sounds like he's fixed a lot of things. So that this retooled mechanics. Plus, we all want to see him with CMC and Kittle. Just more reasons why we need to see what Lance can really do. Why it really should be an open competition between all three quarterbacks.
It's kind of funny because when they had John Lynch on Sirius, and John Lynch was saying, the first time that we brought Brock out a couple of days ago to throw, I'm not sure if he threw a real football or a Nerf football. I heard different rumors. I don't know what was what, but they said he was throwing, and I believe he hinted that it's a quarterback competition. And if I heard it right or wrong, let me know, because I could have sworn I heard that.
That's it came out the other day, and a lot of people ran with it. The only reputable person I saw that reported it was Brad Graham. And he's not exactly, a credentialed 49ers reporter. So he's obviously a big pillar in our content creator community, and I do trust his judgment. But I remember when I saw it, and I was just like, I searched for other people, because that's what I always do. And I see something, that sounds really interesting or different than what we've been hearing. I want to see a bunch of people tell me that, not just one. And so some of the other people I saw were saying, he still said that, Purdy is still the leader in the clubhouse. And Purdy should be the leader in the clubhouse. Let's be honest. I mean, he won 6 games in the regular season and 2 playoff games, and never lost a game that he finished. So he should be the leader in the clubhouse to start. But I just hope it's an open competition to where Lance has a chance to show what he can do. And if he shows it, that he can actually win it.
Yeah. And again, we don't want anything handed to anybody on this team. Just because you may like certain players' abilities over the next guy. One player might be faster, one player might be stronger or smarter, whatever it is. At the end of the day, you just want the best players out there, but you do want the best players to compete and give it a fair chance as well. So what up, David Yang? I see you. My friend David Yang Twins. He said Brock is the leader in the clubhouse, but it's an open competition. It's going to be very interesting. And keep in mind, Lynch and Shanahan say a lot of things. I've seen them say a lot of things over the past 6 or 7 years, but at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words. So we're going to find out some way, somehow, whether it's training camp or preseason or week 1 or week 2, whatever it is, how much they like Lance or how much they like Darnold, or how healthy Purdy is, or if Purdy's being rushed. We're going to find out one way or the other.
No doubt. Steven Supremo says he thinks Brad did get credentialed, so maybe he did.
I know Brad has had press passes to go to the because he's been at the training camps along with Raj. Raj has been at the training camps, and Rohan and Raj have all been on the show. So shout out to those guys, and shout out to everybody, all the content creators who are able to get credentialed, because it's not easy.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. So I mean, Darnold was basically taking the first team reps the other day, and Grant Cohn had something to say where he thinks like the whole competition that the Niners are trying to do, at least, and keep in mind, this is only what the media saw. They didn't see the other practices, so the media doesn't know what happened in the other practices. And in the other practices, Lance was getting all the first reps, but what the media saw basically was Lance throwing a lot of checkdowns and Darnold throwing a lot of checkdowns. And we don't know if the coaches are telling them, "Hey, work on your checkdowns," or only throw checkdowns so the media doesn't see our plays down the field. I don't know what the thought process is, but Cohen himself, the reason I brought up Cohen, because Cohen was saying that this competition that they're trying to do with Lance and Darnold, it seems like a big waste of time.
Well, I think more than that, it's damaging to Lance's, just to his, what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence.
It's confidence, because it's confidence.
Yeah, because Kyle's never said you're the guy, and Grant made some interesting points where he said, you look at Forrester, our offensive line coach, and he's saying, McKivitz is our right tackle. We're going to ride with him till the wheels fall off. They said it last year with Brendel. At center, that worked out well, and they're saying it with Burford.
And even
Burford's
with
going to be
Aaron
our right
Banks
guard.
last year too. Aaron Banks.
Yeah, and Aaron Banks. So they did it with all those guys. They showed confidence in them, and that helped the confidence of the guys. Like, hey, my coaches believe in me. And QBE is a much more difficult position than offensive line. And, confidence is even more important for it. And so it's a little frustrating, but at the same time, I guess if Kyle really sees something in Darnold, he's the coach, and if Darnold wins it and does well, then maybe he'll prove us all wrong. But I don't believe in Sam Darnold, not as much as Lance.
I like Darnold as the third backup on the team, or the second backup, or maybe say the backup, or the third string guy. I don't mind that at all in terms of Darnold's talent level, what he can do, what he brings to the table in a 49er quarterback friendly offense, with Kyle. That's fine. I know Darnold had his struggles in the past with the Jets, but there were certain things that he did in the past that I liked. It's just there's a lot of inconsistency, a lot of turnovers. We know that. We already know the ghost thing. We all know about that. But again, back to Grant Cohn, because Grant Cohn's at the practices whenever, and I'm always quoting. I'm not at the practices. You're not at the practice. I'm quoting people who are at the practices and seeing going off of what they see. But he's basically saying Trey Lance is better. What he's seen, the little that he's seen so far, Trey Lance looks like he's better than Darnold. And even though people were dropping his passes, who was it? Ronnie Bell dropped a few short passes from Lance, and they were good throws from what I was hearing on those checkdowns. Lance did still had the best throw of the day in the whole practice, the 40-yard pass to Brandon Ayuk. And I heard Brandon Ayuk, a lot of people were, Kenny in the chat right here, I saw him talking about him, says Ayuk seems ready as fuck this year. I didn't want to cuss, but he put AF. I had this. He forced me to. And, it sounded like in that practice, Ayuk was just getting open the whole time.
I'm not surprised to hear that. I have been saying all along that you can't have a deep threat wide receiver without a deep threat QB. That goes for Kittle. That goes for Ayuk. It goes for Danny Gray. We don't know what any of these guys can do with a strong arm quarterback like Trey Lance. And I'll throw Darnold in there. I think Darnold's arm is plenty strong enough to air it out and really take advantage of what these guys can do. The only ones who couldn't were Jimmy and Purdy.
Yeah, as good as Purdy did for us last year, we know, every player will have their limitations, Not every player is going to be perfect and have, check every single box there is. And the one thing that we did not see from Purdy was we know that he can't sit there and air out the ball at 60 yards or 65 yards. Now he's very methodical and he knows how to run the offense, and it worked. But we don't have the huge, big, deep play within the blink of an eye element with our team, unless we drop some crazy run after the catch thing, But that's not always going to happen. And there was something. Oh, Randy Daytona's in the chat. What's up, Randy? I see. I was going to bring up your comment. He was people keep talking about this damn pineapple with Kittle in the chat. I don't know what was that an ad for something? What was that? What was that for?
Yeah, it was some kind of an ad, and he was wearing a pineapple essentially, and nothing else to cover his loin. Let's say, to put it nicely. So I was just like, just don't get injured, Kittle. That could be very painful. It could cost him a few games.
I think Randy was saying too effing cocky, baby. I think he's talking about Kittle.
Yeah. I think it's a pun or play on words.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Oh, okay. I get what he's saying. What up? So David Yang says, my opinion on Trey is that I think he tries to be too perfect. He just needs to play without second guessing himself. We know he has the smarts, but now he has to play with instincts. Definitely. And that's what Purdy did. To Purdy's credit, Purdy was playing with excellent instincts. Sometimes just being in the games with all the adrenaline, you will have your instincts will come out. They may not come out in practice. Some people aren't practice players; they're gamers. Let me ask you guys this: especially for the people who are extreme about Lance, trying to say he's a franchise guy and saying he has no flaws, and they're trashing Trey Lance like crazy. Give me one day in practice, because some of these are kind of saying that Lance had a bad practice here and there or whatever. Like give me one day where reporters were just ahhing over Brock Purdy one day in practice, like, oh, Brock Purdy dominated in practice and he looks like the real thing. Like nobody reported on that ever last year. He just stepped in and when the time was right, and then he performed.
Yeah, I mean, and the team was hot. We had just gone 4 in a row, winning with Jimmy G. So, it's not like when Lance played, when we started 3-5 to start 2021 and 3-4 to start 2020. That's 3 out of 4 of Lance's starts. Then the one start Lance had when the team was playing well, he won, and that was to keep us in the playoff hunt in 2021. If he didn't win that, we don't make the playoffs in 2021. So. I just think that I think Purdy's better. I just think that the gap is smaller than what the stats from last year look like. Just because, like I said, Lance never had CMC and he barely had Kittle, and those are two huge differences. I mean, I'm ready to say right now, I think CMC is the most important piece in Kyle's offense right now. We saw it last year. We went 12-0 with CMC starting at running back. You could say we lost the game that he played in the Chiefs game, but he had only been here for a practice and a half, basically like half a practice and a walkthrough. So he didn't know most of the plays, most of the playbook. He didn't know anything intricate. And so we barely saw him in the second half of that game because we kind of cycled through everything he knew in the first half. And obviously we lost the Eagles game, but that was because Purdy got injured more than anything else.
Definitely. So another thing that happened in camp in OTAs was that Debo finally showed up, and he was working on the sidelines with whatever coach because I guess he's a little late in the mix. And they did what they did say is he did not look like he was overweight this time around, which is good to hear. And we were talking about Ayuk, but did you want to add anything about Debo, Ayuk, or any of the receivers in camp so far?
I mean, I was unhappy when I heard that Debo wasn't there to start, but now he was at the most recent one. I guess he was on the side though; he wasn't practicing still. But it sounded like people were saying it looked like he's in good shape, and that was sort of my thought on the whole thing. Was like, we'll see what happens with him this season. If he really is in shape, then I got no problem with him missing a few OTAs. He obviously knows the playbook. And even before I had heard that he had showed up this week, I was defaulting towards that I thought he would be in shape because he had been working with the footwork king when he broke his foot, kind of ironic, back before the 2020 season when he got that Jones fracture. So that was before OTAs. So clearly he was putting in the work on his own before anything even optional was available with the 49ers that season. So my gut was, Debo will probably be fine.
Yeah, I hope so too. The one thing alarming about Debo to me, honestly, is that salary that we gave him. I just think I don't think it was worth it. And I know that was the going rate in the market. But if we're gonna pay Debo like that, he obviously needs to be healthy. He obviously needs to be in shape. We get that and be dedicated. But he needs to be focused on being a receiver. Focus on your route, improve your route running, work on your craft. I think we should not do this whole wide back thing as much as we need to. We don't even need to do it that much because now we got CMC in the mix, and I heard some good stuff about the other running backs and OTAs so far. So I don't know. Do you share that same sentiment, or do you have a different opinion?
I mean, if he plays like 2022, then we overpaid. If he plays like 2021, then we probably got a pretty good deal because he had 1,400 receiving yards and 300 and change rushing, and I think 12 or 13 TDs, so maybe even 14 TDs. So, so it just, again, kind of TBD. I think he's going to be closer to 2021 season this season in 2023 than he was last season. Because, last year he held in, and then he had some injuries due to being sort of out of shape and overweight. I just don't see that happening again. I just feel like, you never really know with a player how they'll be once they get paid. And some guys, once they get paid, they take their foot off the gas and they're never the same. I feel like Debo loves to play, and I think we'll still see him because we saw glimpses of it last season. We saw that, the play against the Rams where he ran through half their defense and ran over Jalen Ramsey just before running into the end zone. We saw the 76 yard TD scamper against the Seahawks. I was there at the wild card game at Levi's that kind of broke the game wide open. So, Yeah, my money's still on Debo. I think,
Yeah.
but yeah, will he pay 20? Was it 22 or 23 and a
Yeah, his
half million
salary is
dollars a year?
ridiculous. Yeah.
It's a lot. Well, especially when you compare to CMC, who's $12 million a
Exactly.
year and had arguably a better 2022 than Debo's 2021. But man, if you get both those guys firing, and then you can, prolong CMC and they can prolong each other by not having to carry the full load. Yeah, I still think he can redeem himself, but yeah, it's gonna be tough. He's gonna have to show out, and if not, the 2021 raw numbers, at least that 2021 efficiency, right, where every play that he gets the ball, he's putting up those kind of average yards, TDs, first downs, broken tackles, all those things that we look for.
Yep. And Randy was talking about, oh, not Randy, sorry, David Yang. He said practice is overrated. You try throws in practice knowing there's no consequences. It's about knowing where to go with the ball more than anything. And keep in mind, another thing about practicing, and so, like, we don't know what the coaches are telling these quarterbacks to do, because a lot of times they're saying they're making them work on things they're uncomfortable with, maybe about 25% of the time, maybe 30% of the time. And if they're working on those type of things, and it looks bad in practice in front of the media, it doesn't necessarily mean that player sucks. It just means the player himself is working on trying to get better at what he's not good at, So there's so many nuances, or as Kelt says, there's so many layers to this game, Shout out to Kelt Chronicles, that's good.
It's a time to work on things you're bad at, not like, lean on things you're good at, right? It's not the time to be trying to get the highest completion percentage possible. It's the time to work on throws that you're not gonna be able to work on during the regular season, and to get the timing down with your weapons. Get synced up.
And David also says, let's see, there's too many ballers on the squad to believe one guy is going to lead his team in stats. Debo just didn't get as many opportunities. Debo is still magic when he gets the ball in his hands. He's electric, man. He has a special ability to turn up the field, and it's just it's beautiful when it happens. I love it. I just want him, like I mentioned earlier, to focus a bit more on route running and perfecting his craft. That's all, because we all know he can do that run up to the catch thing better than probably anybody in the league almost. I mean, when it comes to it, but just work on other things in terms of bringing a wide receiver. Like, try to be what Ayuk is, in my opinion. Kenny says Debo is good, but Ayuk definitely should have gotten the deal over Debo, and it's gonna be interesting when we have to pay Ayuk. What's gonna happen,
Well, the good news is that, people are concerned about 2024 because Debo has the $28 million cap hit, and Ayuk's is like, I don't know, 14 or something, 14.5. Anyway, bottom line is together they're about $42-43 million in the 2024 season. But if we just extend Ayuk, then we could take that number down from like 14 down to maybe like 6 or 7 or 8, by giving him a vet minimum base, and then just pay 1/5 of his signing bonus that first year. And then that way we could knock $6, $7, $8 million off that 42. It becomes a little more palatable. Maybe restructure Debo or something. I definitely don't want to give either of them up, at least not until somebody shows that they can do something similar. I mean, Jennings is nice, but he has bad hands, and he catches a lot of firsts and a lot of touchdowns. I love that. But he drops a lot of balls, and he doesn't have nearly the speed that Ayuk and Debo have.
He doesn't have the beat burst of those two guys. Yeah, have not even close. What up? Who else is here in the chat? David McNiner is here. There he is. Says, "What's good, Bashar and Ted? Good to have you here." And Randy Daytona is going on some rant about humans used to be hard and made of wood, and I guess they don't work hard anymore. I'm assuming he's referring to Debo or something. I'm not sure, but it's kind of
that.
funny.
And I think just football is just kind of gradually becoming more and more kind of softened, if you will. Just look at this new kickoff, fair catch to the 25 rule.
That rule is so stupid.
It's they just gradually just keep chipping away at the hardness that we kind of grew up with in the 80s football, where it was just really smash mouth and tear guys to shreds, and sort of a war of attrition maybe, I wouldn't say more than talent, but certainly was more important. Toughness was more important back then than it is today.
And I want to bring this up really quick. It's a little off topic. There are people who watch 50% of the people who watch videos on my channel are not subscribed to the channel. So I put that thing that box right below my video box. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you watch and you search my name up, look, it helps us to be subscribed to the channel, helps us to like the videos. Also, we're running this channel simultaneously on TED Talks channel as well. I have the link to the channel in the description box of this video. So hit up that channel, hit the like button on that channel and there, subscribe there if you're not subscribed already. And and if you are a silent viewer, because we get a lot of silent viewers on these YouTube chats, just say what's up in the chat. Say hey, what's up, Go Niners or something, or let us know where you're from. If you're a new chatter, say hey, what's up, Go Niners. I'm over here in the Bay Area, or I'm over here in LA or something. Let us know what's up. Chime in, and we'll definitely shout you guys out because we appreciate all our viewers and all our chatters. Definitely want to throw that out there. If you want to touch on that,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ted.
No, I was just going to say, anybody watching on TED Talks Ball, my channel, make sure you pop over to Bashar's and give him a like and a subscribe. And I just ask people on 49er Minded to do the same for me. It really helps us out to keep doing what we do for all of you.
Oh, that rhymed. Hey, there you go. Take out some bars.
Oh, please.
I'm always trying to get Ted up on the hip hop stuff, and it's just
I sang some Kanye yesterday. That was
you were singing some Kanye that I didn't recognize. I was like, what song is that?
Runaway is the name of the song.
Oh, the Runaway song. Okay, I do remember that one. Yeah.
Runaway, baby.
Kenny says Ronnie Bell got my attention. That's the wide receiver that we drafted from Michigan. He's been apparently in camp. He's been tearing it up in terms of making all the catches, showing off his elite hands. And ironically, he had a few drops from Trey Lance that people were saying the passes were on the money. So, you're going to make mistakes, get your mistakes out. But for the most part, he's looking pretty good. Well, Kenny says 49er Minded. A1 says day one. I appreciate it, bro. And we got a Rams fan in the house. Says silly fun guy, I guess. He says go Rams. Boo. Go Rams. But hey, everybody's welcome here. It's all good. Like I said, if you're a silent viewer, just say what's up in the chat and we'll shout you out. And
silly fun guy does good dad jokes too from time to time, but I think he's running out. Yeah.
What is dad jokes?
Just like they're not that funny because they're not offensive. They're usually more punny than funny. So I'm like blanking on any of them right now. But
I want to ask you about the offensive line, because actually let's touch on the running backs really, really quick before we talk about O-line. You're talking about CMC, and they're saying he's the catalyst of training camp. He looks determined. He looks fiery. They're just saying it's a different CMC that they're not used to seeing, which is great, which is awesome. And you mentioned something to me about earlier in the day about him and Rich Eisen. He said something to Rich Eisen. Did you want to talk about that really quick? Or
CMC was just saying that running back, he feels like running backs are devalued, and that kind of goes along with what I was saying, where I think he's our most valuable weapon in Kyle Shanahan's offense. You could really go back to Bill Walsh, who said a similar thing about Roger Craig, that basically he said everybody points to Jerry Rice and John Taylor and Brent Jones, and he said, but really the guy that made the West Coast offense go for the 49ers was Roger Craig. That was it. He was a running back who could catch like a receiver. And so, so ultimately, CMC brought up a few different names of people, but, some of the people that were talking about it, I think it was Peacock and Croc were talking about it on
Locked On
49ers. And, ultimately they were saying, but most of those guys that CMC brought up didn't win rings. The one who did was Emmitt Smith, and that was back in the 90s, as we all know. So not that relevant to today's running back, relevancy discussion. So we got to win one for CMC to make it a relevant discussion for him, to say that running backs matter.
Oh yeah. And, this funny comment right here. Donald Johnson says Bashar steals Rombo's thunder as soon as he comes into the chat of Rombo Sports. It's been a while since I've been on that chat, actually. I don't remember getting the love like you're saying. I don't know about that. But I don't know. I don't know how I'm stealing his thunder, but
Hey, well, God bless Rombo. He's finally coming around. I think I've seen him post a
Well,
lot of pro
what did he
Lance
say?
stuff. Finally,
Oh,
I
really?
seen it. I seen him
Posting the
jocking
Lance,
Lance.
huh?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
I was
Maybe I should
like,
start watching again.
yeah. I think he's posting. I know he posted some. Check out some of his recent posts in the last few
I'll
days.
look it up. I'll look it up.
I only saw one, so maybe it was just a
Well, Jimmy's a
one-off.
Raider now, so you can't post about Jimmy anymore. So I mean,
No, exactly.
all
Well,
right,
for now, knock on wood.
oh yeah.
Their problem
I want
now.
to say what's up to this guy right here. Tommy Huxley says it's Niners all goddamn day, bitches. What up, Tommy? Good to see you here. And about to the running backs though, you're talking about CMC, and what I was hearing, Bobby Turner was bringing up Jordan Mason. So, and I thought and not that I didn't hear anything bad about TDP and OTAs or anything.
I did.
You did? Okay, I'll let you touch on that. I just want to say that what I heard about Jordan Mason was that it looks like he's probably slimmed down and gotten into some better shape. I believe at one point in the season he was probably 235 last year, and they said he looks a bit faster, more explosive. And the running back coach Bobby Turner said something to the tune of he has limitless potential, something along those lines, and which is insane. And I don't want to hype up Jordan Mason too much. I know a lot of other people were saying, "Oh, he looks like Marshawn Lynch," but hey, it sounds like he's looking determined and he's looking like he wants to be something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely rooting for TDP. I don't want another third round running back bust. But what I heard somebody say was that he's still running into the backs of his blockers and not hitting the holes. And so that's not sounding good for him to make the team, especially when there's a lot of hype around Awat, who's supposedly really fast, and Laybourne, the undrafted running backs.
The two UDFAs.
Yeah, Laybourne has supposedly had a really good college production. So we'll see what happens there. But if it continues, it's hard to say that TDP's days might be numbered.
Yeah, and I just root for TDP because I just feel like everybody trashes him and says he sucks, and I'm just like, well, let's see more of this guy and see what he's about at least. I like to give everybody a fair shot, though. I'm an equal opportunity employer, but unless he shows me he sucks, then I'll say he sucks. Kenny says if Elijah Mitchell can stay healthy, our running backs will be number one in the league. I swear, dude. And as much as I love Elijah Mitchell's talent when he has the ball, I just worry too much about his small body and him getting hurt. But let's hope the best for him. Let's hope the best because we know he can play. We know he's a player in this league. He's a
small running back who runs big, right?
You can call him Biggie Smalls for that matter.
Oh.
I'm laughing at my own jokes. That's pretty bad.
It all circles back to hip hop.
Yeah, you go full circle, baby. So Donald Johnson says, okay, sorry. I'm going. Oh, okay, he's just got to go take out. Good to have you, though. Says Niners, hope Niners win it all. Appreciate all you guys. And for those of you guys who can't sit and watch the full live show, you can always watch the replay on my channel or Ted's channel. Appreciate that. And Randy says Jordan Mason is running back number 2. Could possibly be. And the guys blogging for these running backs on our offensive line. And we lost Mike McGlinchey. We had a lot of mixed reviews from fans in regards to Mike McGlinchey's play. And when we first got Mike McGlinchey, he was a dominant, amazing run blocker. And the run blocking that we had with Mostert in that 2019 season where we went to the Super Bowl and it carried through the Green Bay Packer game, NFC Championship game. I mean, McGlinchey played a big part in that, He really did, but he's not here anymore. Now we have Colton McKivitz. And now Forrester's in the pressers, our offensive line coach, has just given Colton McKivitz a big vote of confidence. And what do you think about Colton McKivitz at right tackle this year and just anything else in regards to the offensive line?
I felt all along that he's probably a better pass blocker. Forrester said he's not as good of a run blocker. We kind of knew that too, but maybe he can improve that. So, for sure he's a really good deal. I mean, we got him for 2 years, $4.5 million. So that's a good thing. I thought we were going to draft a right tackle, I'll be honest, or sign or trade something. And maybe we will by the trade deadline if we need it, but I guess we're going to see what we have with McKivitz. And I remember when he was coming out in the draft, there was a lot of talk about how he was like mean and ornery. And, that sounds like what you want in an offensive tackle. And it sounds like he's got the attitude. I felt like he played okay in the 2 Rams games he played. Not great in 2021 to get into the playoffs, but quite a bit better in 2022. I was there at the Rams game week 4. Thing is he sprained his MCL in that game. So, McGlinchey, he obviously had that meniscus surgery in 2019, and obviously the torn quad tendon in 2021. But other than that, you could say he was pretty much an Iron Man. So I do think we'll miss McGlinchey. I do. I'm going to say, I know a lot of people didn't like him. Of course, the blowing it on key plays. I didn't like that either. But towards the end of this last season in 2022, I liked what I saw out of him. And granted, it's a contract season. You never want to pay a guy for what they do in a contract season, especially when it's like half of a contract season, the tail end. But I think we'll miss him some.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of confidence in either Forrester or John Lynch or Shanahan or maybe all three. When we're drafting in the 3rd round and some pretty well-known tackles are still available, and Dwan Jones was not supposed to be available anywhere near where we drafted, and he was sitting there. And I know he's not a scheme guy for Kyle, or Kyle doesn't like those big, huge road grader type guys to tackle. But I was like, you got to get this guy. Please get him. And when we, first time around, we got Ji'Ayir Brown. Okay, cool. Ji'Ayir Brown's fine. I get it. Then when we got Moody, I was like, whoa, we're drafting a kicker this early. What are we doing here? And when guys like Dwan Jones and then we got Latu right after that, I was like, I thought with one of those picks we would went for offensive line, and we didn't. Blake Freeland was still available, but we didn't do it. And now it's like we're throwing all our eggs in one basket with McKivitz. I hope he's the guy. I hope he pans out. But if he goes down, who's going to take his place? I mean, are we going to put Feliciano in at right tackle, or are we going to slide in Burford at right tackle and make Feliciano the guard? I'll say this about the offensive line. It seems like we're so guard heavy, but on the exterior on the offensive line, we're thin. Trent Williams and McKivitz and nobody else is how I look at it. Matt Pryor, that offensive tackle that we got from the Colts, I see film of him and it looks like trash. And back to film though, McKivitz on those Aaron Donald when McKivitz faced Aaron Donald in one of those Rams games, he did look pretty good. John Chapman had posted those clips up for everybody on Twitter. I saw that, and I just I was kind of excited about Joey Fisher as a UDFA. It's funny when these UDFA guys come out, they're kind of hyped up, like, oh, this guy might be able to make the team because Joey Fisher was supposed to be drafted in round 3, and he was this powerful tackle. Even though it was a small school, he was tossing guys around like Trent Williams, and he was a big Trent Williams fan. And now we're finding out, according to Forrester, our offensive line coach, that Joey Fisher is just going to be strictly a guard and not be a tackle. So it's like, all right, what are we going to – I thought Joey Fisher was supposed to be our sleeper guy to potentially fill in at right tackle or challenge, McKivitz, and it's not even going to be that now. So I just think we're so strong on the interior and so thin on the outside.
Yeah, T-Rex arms. I don't know. I mean, I guess we have Jalen Moore. I never have liked what I've seen out of him. They seem to like Matt Pryor for whatever reason. So maybe they're seeing something that we aren't. Yeah. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, they're still talking running backs here. Let me just go through. They said
I like
Tommy
that
said
TDP was a
Richie. He said he's serving 2.0. I hope not. Kenny says he's not a TDP fan at all. Says CMC, Mitchell, and Mason. That's a good one. He's got short arms. My friend, I have a friend who likes to say that about Mike Tyson back in the day. And then it resonated when you said that about Joey Fisher. But yeah, it's like it let me down. Like, okay, cool. Well, we got like 6 or 7 other dudes that play guard. Who's going to play tackle? But I think I don't like Matt Pryor. I don't know how the 49ers are going to make something out of him. I don't know. As a backup tackle,
I don't know either. But I mean, it's going to be him or Jalen Moore there at the swing tackle, I suppose. Because a lot of us talked about sliding Burford out, but that clearly isn't going to happen. So
and Forrester didn't really mention that really, in the presser. Maybe they might do it eventually later in camp, but it wasn't really brought. It was more the fans bringing that up more so than anything else. Our guys didn't bring it up. Yeah,
I never heard the team say it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's we're still on here. We'll probably go a little bit past an hour if you're okay with that.
We can.
Yeah, so Ji'Ayir Brown, from what I'm hearing in camp, he's hey man, he's looking like a ball hawk. He wasn't doing it necessarily when the media was around, but they hinted that Ji'Ayir Brown has been intercepting the ball, and I saw one little drill. I don't care. I never care about deep defensive back drills ever. I'm like, oh, big deal. Those are defensive back drills. Who cares? But I was just watching clips and I saw one drill of Ji'Ayir Brown. I'll say this. Compared to the other guys, he looks really built and he looks really quick. When I saw him running some of those drills, I was like, wow, this guy looks quick. And I never say that about other players, you know. It caught my eye when I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I heard somebody talking about, I guess he also played basketball and he had a lot of steals in basketball, and it's a similar sort of concept of just
similar physical trait,
reading the passer's eyes, whether it's a point guard or a quarterback, and making a break, and getting there before the ball arrives and taking the ball from the intended receiver. So I'm really happy to hear that. I've heard a lot of people being really high on Ji'Ayir Brown, even some people saying that they thought he might start over Gibson. I think that's a reach, but hey, if he can, great. I mean, it'd be fine to have Gibson as sort of more of a backup, especially at his advanced age. I'm always about go for the guy who's on the arc, on the trajectory coming up, more than the guy who's sort of plateaued. You already know what you got. Why not go with the guy who may have the higher ceiling? And same thing with quarterback, honestly, in this situation.
I'm okay with that too, just as long as it's not rushed. Though I wouldn't want them to rush Ji'Ayir Brown in there, then have him look.
And it can't be too big of a drop off. He's got to be within range to where you think within a reasonable amount of time that Ji'Ayir could eclipse Gibson. Then give him the chance. Because ultimately we want the best team down the stretch and in the playoffs. So if you think Ji'Ayir Brown's going to be better when it counts, then I'm willing to suffer a little bit now for that, personally.
I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that. I think I heard Larry Krueger recently mention D. Winters. I'm not sure if you heard about it lately, but I think when I was hearing, he's looking a little better than these past two OTAs. I'm not sure if you heard any about that, but I heard him say it really quick, but I didn't catch the details of it though.
Yeah, I mean, they were talking about how it's going to be really tough to decide because we've got, obviously we got Fred and Dre. They're not going anywhere. And then you got Oren Burks, and there was a guy we put on, Curtis Robinson, I think is his name, that we put on IR last year.
I remember him last year,
He took up one of our later IR spots, and I was like, why are we wasting an IR spot? Well, I think you put that guy like that on IR because you're afraid to put him on the practice squad or, to release him.
Snagged.
He gets snagged. So, the team obviously liked him enough to use a late season IR spot on him, or mid to late season. Anyway, it was not early season. And, then obviously you got DFF, who's a good special teamer. Someone said maybe he was close to making the Pro Bowl on special teams last year. And you got the two new guys, right? You got Jalen Graham out of Purdue, who everybody loves. They're saying Fred Warner clone, and D. Winters, just maybe a slightly smaller Dre Greenlaw clone. Yeah.
I love it. D. Winters was the pick that I got the most pumped up for on the live draft show when I was on Niners Sickness podcast channel during the draft. That was the pick I was the most excited for.
Yeah, I was really excited by a lot of those late picks, whether it was Robert Beal, D. Winters, Braden Willis, and Ronnie Bell. I liked all four of those a lot. I mean, pretty much all the end of the draft I liked a lot. The one I will not claim Graham. I didn't think know much about him. Yeah. I just knew Purdue, and I know Purdue cranks out good linebackers, but they always say scout the player, not the school. But I guess if you're gonna scout a school for linebackers, Purdue's a damn good one. So,
and Jalen Graham is a guy who said ever since the 2019 Super Bowl, he's had his eye on Fred Warner all throughout his short career so far, and he's a big fan of his. So,
and I guess the other thing about Jalen Graham is Scott McCloughan liked him, and he's had his issues with alcoholism, substance abuse, what have you. but he definitely helped for people who don't know who Scott McCloughan was. He built the core for the 49ers. That then Balky and Harbaugh came in. Willis. He also was he acquired Bowman. Bowman wasn't starting yet, but he was on the team due to Scott McCloughan. And then, then we hired Harbaugh and Balky, and they went to the 3 NFC championships and the Super Bowl in 3, straight years. But during those time, McLuhan went to Seattle and he built the LOB there. So he definitely, knows what he's doing, at least with DBs and linebackers. He's pretty damn good. And who knows, maybe even Alden Smith was scouted by him because that was the first year he was gone.
That's true.
Yeah.
Balky, in my opinion, he did a lot more than Balky did for the Niners.
Balky was terrible. I mean, Balky was the problem. The problem was Jed chose Balky over Harbaugh when there was that power struggle.
Terrible.
He should have chosen Harbaugh. I mean, Harbaugh does have that thing where he tends to wear out his welcome after 4 or 5 years wherever he goes. He's got that crusty personality, and I think the rah-rah probably doesn't really work well in the NFL. It works better at a collegiate level, I think. But ultimately, it was still a mistake, in my opinion, to go with Balky over Jed York. But I mean, I don't like Balky, but I have to give him a little credit. He seems to be doing decent things for the Jags. I mean, seems like they upset the Chargers last year in the playoffs, and they seem like they might be a contender for the AFC this season.
I got you. So Niner You Love to Hate was going back off of we were talking about Joey Fisher having short arms, and I was saying he's got short arms because Kenny put it in the chat, and it reminded me that because one of my friends back in the day used to say it about Mike Tyson, but another guy we know on these 49er chats would always say it about Solomon Thomas. So that's what Kenny was referencing. I forgot. So Niner You Love to Hate said, shout out to Lee. He's got short arms. Lee would always say that about Solomon Thomas. Let me say what's up to East Coast Red and Gold podcast. What up, Jess? How you doing? Definitely check out her YouTube channel. Subscribe to them. It's a great channel. They have great guests on there. They think they had Matt Miyoko on before and some other big name people coming up. It's just
Jordan Elliott was this week.
Oh, Jordan Elliott. Okay, Jordan Elliott's a good dude. So I got him on my Twitter page. Yep. And Steve Supremo says Wilson blocked a trade to go to the Eagles. I'm not sure what trade he's talking about.
Russ Wilson was supposed to go to the Eagles last year before he went to the Denver Broncos.
Oh, really? Okay. That would have been interesting. Yeah. Russell Wilson was also sitting on the sidelines at the Denver Nuggets game yesterday. They kept showing him. And So if there's anything I didn't touch on, you can go ahead and drop a nugget or two here and there. But it looks like we're about to wrap it up. Actually, I do have something in mind to touch on really quick. Unless you want to go first.
Go.
I was gonna say I thought it was kind of interesting, kind of funny that Grant Cohn was the first person to bring this up. But Dwayne Allen, a former NFL tight end, I believe with the Colts and a few other teams, NFL player rep, NFL PA rep, was attending practice, and I guess he was standing a little close to the sidelines or something, or Shanahan didn't like where he was standing during the practices, and Shanahan went on this big whiny little rant, and I don't know if he was cursing or swearing, but he made a big scene about Dwayne Allen not wanting Dwayne Allen there, and it would end up being a shouting match between them two, and John Lynch had to intervene. It's a little funny little thing that happened in practice. I'm not sure if you had any thoughts about that.
Just careful, Kyle. That's a big dude.
Yeah.
Don't want to scrap with somebody who's a former tight end when you're a pretty tiny guy. So be safe and live to fight another day, Kyle. We need you.
Yeah, because when Cohn first mentioned it, Cohn didn't know who he was at first. But Cohn didn't mention it was a big guy or a guy that looked like a former player. So then when I found out it was a former tight end, I was like, well, I didn't know he's not that far removed from the league. I believe like 3 or 4 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, well, Kyle, what are you doing here, man? It's like, I don't know. It's just kind of funny. But Jess said Kyle's not tiny, LOL. We did play wide receiver in college. I get that. He was over at Texas. Texas Longhorns playing receiver. But if she said read Cam Inman's article in regards to what, Jess, let us know which article you're speaking of. Maybe it was about
this whole thing.
Okay, probably about that. Yeah, but anything you want to touch on before we went, or anything on your mind before we close this out?
I think we're good. I think we had a good show. Thanks for having me on, Bash. Love the the name for the show and the overlay. Just got to get it to me so I can have the same thing for next week. And we'll just say peace and go Niners.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Yeah, Jess said it was what happened with Kyle Cam, and Inman had a good article about it. So, yeah, I just thought it was kind of slightly catchy because I said Ballin with Ted and Bash because your TED Talks Ball. That's your channel, TED Talks Ball. And, I just I wanted something with kind of a ring to it. And, Yeah, you're definitely going to have the overlay for next week to put on your channel. We appreciate everybody to chat, either if you're on Ted Talks channel's chat or my chat. If you're not subscribed to one channel, subscribe to the other, hit the like button for one channel and the other. Appreciate you guys being active in the chats. And I try my best to shout out everybody. If there's anybody I miss who I don't shout out, just type another comment before to get my attention. And like I said earlier, we got a lot of silent viewers on my channel. So if you're a silent viewer, just speak up and say, hey, I'm chatting from such and such and whatever, go Niners, and I'll shout you out on the channel. But appreciate everybody here. Appreciate you, Ted. Thank you guys for watching. Ballin with Ted and Bash. It's great to have you guys on. This on the TED Talks channel. Subscribe to TED Talks Ball. I'm 49er minded. So keep repping those 49ers and stay 49er minded. Peace. Let's go. Go Niners.
Peace out.
Come on, 49er faithful. Let's get it.
Because it's 49er mind.
We gotta do this one time for the Empire.
It's 49er mind. It's 49er mind.
We gotta get that brick by brick done quick.
49er mind.
Yeah. Yo, we can't listen to them haters, man.
49er mind.
We from the Bay.
49er mind.
We them San Francisco 49ers.
49er mind.
We got that red and gold blood inside us.
49er mind.